Goodwill, A Conscious Revolution, will be a documentary inspired by the positive feedback we received from a video we created in response to the pervasive negativity in the world.
So, which way do you think is best?
This feedback highlighted the potential of consciously applying the principles of goodwill in our everyday lives.
I think when it comes to goodwill, it really has affected me in life. When I was 13 years old, I had to go to the food bank. My parents, they didn't have enough money. If it wasn't for the goodness of other people donating to the food bank, I wouldn't have had a meal to eat.
When I was 7 years old, I lost my father to brain cancer. And then about 9 years later, I lost my mother to a neurodegenerative disease. And I wouldn't have been able to be where I am today without the support of people around me, including Kelly, rallying for me. It's been amazing. He was my dad's best friend, so it's really nice.
People give me compliments all the time of the sacrifice of becoming a parent sort of later in life, but it has been no sacrifice whatsoever. It has been incredibly fulfilling.
I went to Rwanda with a company called Bridges to Prosperity, and we went to this very small village in Rwanda. It's on the west side, and they were physically isolated from school, hospital, and shopping and all that by a wide river. So we went to build them a bridge. When it rains and it rains seasonally, they literally can't go to the hospital, or they can't go to school, or they can't get to their farm. It's like half of the year they just can't do anything, and people die trying to cross this river when they just absolutely have to. So, I'm an engineer, but usually you're just building something for someone in North America, and it's usually another condo building, another office building, but then actually physically building with my own hands and seeing the people that I'm helping, seeing the direct impact of that. And it's we literally inaugurated the bridge, opened it, and you could see the kids are running back and forth, everyone's happy, everyone was sharing stories of their life before the bridge, how it will change their lives and all that. And you're hearing all that, and that's work that you did. I've never had an experience like that before. It was amazing.
To implement new ways of thinking and behaving, we recognize that people need a compelling reason to justify the effort. We require belief, faith, or evidence to stay on course. Well, we believe that the majority of people have an inherent sense of goodwill and love for humanity. We are constantly bombarded with messages of negativity, divisiveness, and a deeply entrenched lack of cooperation. This often leads to feelings of hopelessness. We simply believe we cannot make a meaningful difference. This pervasive feeling of powerlessness disconnects us from our innate capacities to positively shape our environment. Just consider what would happen if the average citizen knew that they had a natural capacity to positively impact the well-being of themselves, their families, communities, and their environment. That their thoughts, feelings, and actions generate unseen yet far-reaching effects. We think it is possible for a documentary film to challenge this deep and often unconscious negative pattern of functioning by offering a prescription of hope and possibility. Our goal is to present research which supports the inherent potential of each of us to make a meaningful difference in a realistic and convincing way that will also touch and influence millions of people. We intend to achieve this by demonstrating through quantum physics and neuroscience research, world religions, and psychology that what we think, feel, and do in our day-to-day lives affects everything. Some scientific researchers now contemplate the whole universe as a quantum system where everything is connected to everything else. Expressing goodwill towards others is not simply some utopian ideal. Quantum theory recognizes that everything in the universe is fundamentally energy. How we think and act affects all of us, as well as the planet, on an individual, collective, and global scale. We envision taking the viewer on a compelling journey Well, they will hear from individuals, leading scientists, researchers, and healers, sharing their theories, experiments, and their findings, which reveal the beauty and complexity of invisible energy at play. We also intend to demonstrate that science and religion are not mutually exclusive. In fact, science is proving the validity of many spiritual and religious teachings. Goodwill, a foundational principle in all major religions and spiritual teachings, can positively affect matter. An ancient promise that is now being supported by new thinking in quantum physics. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, has its equivalent in all major world religions. As well, neuroscience studies are showing how our thoughts and intentions affect the structure of our brain and impacts others. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, should be a familiar statement for all of us. Humanity with massed intent can and will be an unstoppable force for peace and goodwill when we finally realize our potential and collectively work for the greater good. We've done quite a bit of research to support the message we want to share. Goodwill matters, and we can all become effective goodwill ambassadors, making a real difference. The following are just some examples of the type of material we wish to include in the film. First, quantum entanglement theory. The principle of entanglement indicates that relationship may be the defining characteristic of everything in space and time. This relationship is independent of distance and requires no physical link. Therefore, we can conclude that everything and everyone is linked. We all affect each other. Neuroscience, the Institute of Heart Math, is an internationally recognized nonprofit research organization that studies heart coherence. One science experiment explored how we affect our own DNA. This study demonstrated that negative thinking and feelings of anger, fear, and frustration actually cause DNA to change shape, to tighten up, become shorter, switching off many DNA codes, and reducing the quality of expression. Yet, the switching off of DNA codes was reversed when the subject experienced positive feelings of love, joy, appreciation, and gratitude. Dr. Norman Doidge's research is in alignment with these findings. In his best-selling book, The Brain That Changes Itself, he made the concept of neuroplasticity familiar to many and opened minds to the idea that our brains are far from fixed. His research found that thoughts switch our genes on and off, altering our brain anatomy. Apparently, our thoughts have a powerful effect on ourselves and others, and our environment, even at a distance. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work in Becoming Supernatural reports that temporary gatherings of people holding an intention for peace through prayer and meditation have consistently led to significant reductions in crime, warfare, and terrorism. These findings are backed by over 50 demonstration projects and 23 peer-reviewed scientific studies. In Dr. Bradley Nelson's book, The Emotion Code, a frequently used seminar test involves a volunteer standing their back to the audience with their eyes closed, while the audience silently sends positive or negative thoughts. The volunteer's strength changes in response to the type of thoughts directed at them, illustrating the tangible impact of collective thought. Scott Harrison realized he was leading a hedonistic lifestyle and decided to make a number of new life choices that exposed him to the horrible living conditions in parts of the world. Scott turned his life intention around to one devoted to those in need, and on his 31st birthday, he asked friends to donate $20 each instead of a gift. This donation became the first water well, providing clean water for a village in Africa that was in desperate need. Scott's new life intention of goodwill was contagious, and donations poured in, soon reaching $300 million from 1 million donors. Charity Water was born as a powerful force for the good of humanity. Over 18 million people now have access to clean and disease-free water for the first time. This is a great example of the inherent nature of goodwill and the incredible power of humanity with mass intent for the common good. Additionally, we will include visual experiments like the one conducted by IKEA, where school children, under supervision, gave loving messages to one plant and bullied another over 30 days. The loved plant thrived while the bullied plant withered, providing a clear illustration of the impact of positive versus negative messages. We feel it's crucial to include experiments which provide a visual reference, seeing is believing, and linking abstract theory with practical examples. Research demonstrates that it doesn't take millions of us to make a meaningful difference. Even a small group united in thought has an impact much greater than the sum of its parts. Goodwill, a conscious revolution, is a call to action, showing that everyone has the power to make a difference. By believing in and utilizing our individual gifts, we can create a ripple effect of positivity that enhances the well-being of all living beings. We are the Rancho Mansfield Initiative. Thank you for considering our film. We welcome your feedback and suggestions.